Hey everyone, this is Brian here from Massey's Main Entertainment. We're back with our series, Was This Album Really That Good? And today I'm joined by a very special guest, a true musician himself. And I was pleasantly surprised when he suggested that we do this video together because I did not think that this is a genre that he would be interested in. But I want to give a big welcome to Sam St. John. Say hi to everybody, Sam.
Hey everybody, thank you, Brian.
I'm gonna put a link to Sam's channel as well. So make sure you go check out his channel. Really great guy. He does his own music and he participates in the vinyl community and other channels and stuff. So make sure to check him out. He's also from my neck of the woods, kind of in the mid southern states. I'm from Virginia originally, southwestern Virginia. Sam kind of bounces around in that neck of the woods. I hear so. Big howdy to everyone out there who might be listening to the channel for the first time. So we're going to be tackling another good album this week, an album that the genre was kind of still in its infancy, I think, during this time. Really, the masses weren't really into hip hop and rap, or at least if they were in a very limited way. And I would hear the rumblings in school all the time from my peers who would say, "Oh, well, rap's not going to be around much longer. It's just a fad. It's not going anywhere." And I just thought that was kind of an unfair analysis. And then this album kind of creeped up on everybody. And then suddenly all these people who did not like rap or hip hop for some reason end up owning this album. And I'm talking about the Beastie Boys' License to Ill. It was released in the fall of 1986. There it is, guys. Check it out. Released in the fall of 1986, the Beastie Boys, who up until this point was considered very much a underground act, far deeper roots in punk, I think, than hip hop. Joined up with Def Jam Records and the masterful Rick Rubin to create this highly creative freestyle meets rock sampling masterpiece. 7 singles were released from this album, and it actually got an A+ from Robert Christgau, of all people, who hates just about everything. So License to Ill went on to sell about 11 million copies worldwide and changed the way the record industry viewed hip hop. The single Fight for Your Right to Party got as high as number 7 on the top 40. The only other single to chart was Brass Monkey, who got as high as number 48, even though it sold 500,000 copies. That was kind of an interesting fact to me. I just thought it was weird. Sam, I always take the last words on these, so I'm interested to hear what your take is on this album.
Yeah, like I was saying before we started filming, I watched Brian's video last episode for De La Soul, and I was like, hey, I like License to Ill by the Beastie Boys, and I would be interested in doing this. And also, Rich Strickler said he couldn't do this video, so I went ahead and took his place. I know he loves this one so much. And I should say before we get started, I would say that this episode is sponsored by Brass Monkey and White Castle. Because the Beastie Boys were chowing down. It sounds like
I think they mentioned Brass Monkey at least 3 times.
At least I thought about doing a count on all the songs, how many times they mentioned a Brass Monkey drink, but I didn't get to it. It's not that important. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you mentioned Rick Rubin. I'm a huge Rick Rubin fan. Obviously, I first heard Rick Rubin's name with the Johnny Cash records that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s on when Rubin started his American label. Obviously, he did Wildflowers by Tom Petty, who's my favorite American band. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. He did Wildflowers. But, I always knew in the back of my mind he had this hip hop and rap underground background with Def Jam. And so, yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. Like you kind of mentioned, and, if you look up what genre this album is, they say it's like rap rock, which in 1986, I guess, you kind of had to merge those together. I mean, you had things like Walk This Way with Run DMC and Aerosmith, which was a huge hit. So, I mean, it's right in that same vein. If you like that song, then, I mean, you're going to get into this. But, yeah, I mean, completely anti-hip hop looking guys. I mean, white Jewish kids from New York, and you can hear it as soon as they start singing. I mean, they open up the album with the song Ramen and Steelin', which has, this great sample of I Fought the Law in it by The Clash. So these guys obviously had those punk roots. And then, the memorable line in this song is, they start chanting, Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, and they just get hype and hype. They're a hype band. I mean, and I know from what I've been reading, they kind of got a lot of crap for this album because, they were saying, oh, they're just kind of comedy rap. They're not serious. And then they would take a few years off, come back with a little bit, the harder edge, Paul's Boutique. But anyway, starts off killer with Rhyming and Stealing, moves into the new style, which has probably the hardest drop of any beat this early on, like 1986. I mean, this is like the age of like Thriller by Michael Jackson, and they've got this beat where he, where Ad Rock, he says, let me clear my throat. And then he says, feel the beat. And then he goes, drop. And then it's just this hard beat that just drops, and like the tempo changes. And they fit so many lyrics into these tracks. I mean, I would be hard pressed to memorize a single Beastie Boys song lyrically, because they were fitting it in, and they were writing it. Rick Rubin had his hand in a lot of the writing as well. I'm sure, especially with a lot of the sampling that they were picking. Again, most of the album is, you have to listen to it in its entirety, because it flows one after the other, hardly any breaks between songs. Again, you go into She's Crafty, the third song, which they break into The Ocean by Led Zeppelin. That heavy guitar riff at the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's like, some of the lines, the girl is crafty like ice is cold. The girl is crafty. She knows all the moves. I started playing records. She knew all the grooves. So they're singing about what they knew. Again, they're kind of, singing about like their poor upbringing. Again, singing about the fast food and the clubs and taking girls home, and just, they're just having fun with what they're doing. Posse in Effect is probably one of the only songs that, I would say probably the only song that mentions Abe Vigoda, in a lyric, which is, hilarious. Again, then they move into Slow Ride, which again is the same title as the Fog Hat track. It's got the Lowrider sampling from War. Again, just a fantastic use of that song. Talking about again another fast food. They're talking about eating the Colonel's chicken, drinking Heineken brew. So again, they're not afraid to say, they're going after their discounts with these lyrics. And then the number 6, the song Girls, kind of different than most of the other album. It's kind of novelty, very quick song, like 2.5 minutes long. They're all just going, girls, all I really want is girls. It's just, it's goofy with Ad Rock kind of taking the lead on that. He's definitely probably got the strongest, that New York, it's not twang, but that New York accent. And then of course we have, MCA with kind of the raspy, voice, who I love his voice. He might be my favorite of the three.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Yeah, he died far too soon in his late 40s. But yeah, I love MCA. And they're just again, just a silly song about, doing the dishes, cleaning the room, do the laundry. It's just, fun. These guys are in their early 20s. They don't know anything. And then the big anthem, kind of the centerpiece of the album, Fight for Your Right to, is number 7, finish off the first side. That even rock fans know this song, and appreciate it, because again, I liked this song before I even touched rap or hip hop in any regard, which I don't listen to on a regular basis. Again, heavy guitar riffs, just killer. And then you go into No Sleep Till Brooklyn, which again, that's such a great triple. You have Girls, Fight for Your Right, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. Again, another heavy track. Talking about, MCA talks about being Brooklyn born and bred. He loves, they're dropping names, dropping their names all the time. He said, I sip the Def Ale with all the fly women. I mean, stuff like that. They're always referencing Def Jam. Then you have Paul Revere, which is kind of like a fake story about how the Beastie Boys got together. It's got this cool, like, reverse, like the whole song is like this reverse, like, loop that's going the whole time. Probably my second or third favorite on the album, I would say, is Paul Revere. Didn't know the song until I got into the album. Again, just a fantastic track. I love the quick, they say his name is MCA. I said howdy, he said hi. I just again, just in their comedic timing, it's perfect. Hold It Now, Hit It is kind of got this again repeated loop with the hold it now, hit it, and then it kind of has the reverse on the back. They mention what they're watching on TV. They mentioned Ed Norton. They mentioned Ted Knight. They mentioned Mr. Ed, which has, it's got clippings of, Mr. Ed, you know, and later on in the album. Then we get in the Brass Monkey, which has that great kind of like intro, that bomb 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 bomb.
It's got that, yeah, interesting horn. Yeah,
it's a great horn. It kind of like skips a couple of times before it kicks into it. And then they have the great little reference to Rick Rubin where they said double R foots the bill, most definitely. Talking about, going to the bar with Rick Rubin. Again, Brass Monkey is kind of the theme of the album here. And then possibly my favorite song, at least my favorite deep cut on the album, is Slow and Low, the second to last track. I just love how it starts, kind of them shouting, let it flow, let yourself go, slow and low. That is the tempo. They keep repeating that. And again, it's just a heavy song. I mean, it's just the Beasties going at it again, hyping the party up. And then they finish with the big closer, Time to Get Ill. Wraps it all up. I mean, again, they use the word ill throughout the entire album, as well as, the other themes that I've mentioned. It's very conceptual. And they reference a lot of theme songs in this one. I mean, they have, Green Acres, Mr. Ed is on there. They have the guitar riff from Down on the Corner by CCR is thrown in there as well. They say, my work is my play because I'm playing when I work. My name's Mike D. As you can see, I can do the jerk. MCA, I'd rock. Mike D, it's chill. What's the time? It's time to get ill. Just a fantastic close to the album because, again, it fits the whole album together. It's, cyclical. And, yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it's just an absolutely, it's just a good time to listen to the album. I mean, it's a pleasure, honestly, for me to listen to it because, I mean, I like it that much. So, went track by track there. Some of my very brief thoughts on the whole record there. So,
what do you got for a score? What do you think?
I was thinking about this today. I hadn't finalized it until I got home, and I'm gonna go. And this is huge. Again, I'm gonna go a 9.5. Wow. I like the album that much. I think it's almost as perfect of a rap hip hop album as you can get. It's got everything that I like in the hip hop that I listen to, which again is not much. But it helps. It's got some of those rock elements. It kind of softens the blow if you're slowly getting into hip hop. I mean, this is a great starter album for anybody that likes, again, Zeppelin and some of the heavier rock, some punk. Again, the Beastie Boys could all play instruments and did. Check them out on SNL with Elvis Costello. I mean, they can play. And yeah, I mean, it's a 9.5 record for me. I love it.
All right. Well, you didn't leave me a lot to talk about, but that's fine. I mean, I got a few notes here that I wanted to just touch upon.
You're the hip hop guy, so yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, so I'm a big sampling guy. So I mean, like whenever I talk about stuff, I'm like, I love albums that sample. So when Paul's Boutique came out, I was like absolutely in the
yeah.
Beastie Boys by that point because that whole album is just nothing but.
It's like a patchwork quilt, that album.
But this album is just so important, just to allow, I guess, hip hop to have some breathing room on the pop charts, and it gave an avenue for people who weren't into hip hop maybe to touch on it, and they might be able to find something else that they can get on board. Now, a lot of that was going to end up being pop rap, like Tone Loc or DJ Easy Rock or maybe MC Hammer, for God's sake. I mean, but at least it was there, and I really appreciate the album for that, for sure. I still liked all the punk and rock sensibilities of the album. For as much as it is a hip hop album, it is very much a rock record as well. It really just feels like a rock record to me. So I would categorize it as both for sure. Really, if you talk about creativity, I'm going to say 50% of this album's creativity definitely belongs to Rick Rubin. The guy is a master, and this was like really early in his career. He's doing not just at this time, not just doing rap. He also did like death metal. I mean, he was doing Slayer's albums and stuff like that as well. So, but the guy is just a great genius. Like you, I love the sampling of When the Levee Breaks on Rhymin' and Stealin'. Also, like they had the Black Sabbath Sweet Leaf also was sampled in that song, which I thought was great. And then of course the Clash, Ocean Song on She's Crafty. Slow and Low samples AC/DC's Flick of the Switch. I love that. And Slow Ride, of course, it has that Latin beat from War's Lowrider. So that great stuff there. My favorite tracks on there: No Sleep Till Brooklyn, Paul Revere, which, like you said, it's got that great backward masking.
Hmm.
Basically, they decided on a track that they liked, and then Ruben reversed it on them, and then he came up with something better. It sounded better that way. I thought that was really cool. And it wouldn't be the last time, of course, that they do this neo-Western thing like they did with Paul Revere, kind of a neo-Western
Yeah,
tale.
yeah.
They do it with High Plains Drifter on Paul's Boutique as well.
Yep.
So they kind of like doing that. And Brass Monkey is an absolute favorite of mine. It's just a fun album. Like you, I think it's a classic. I don't think it's too high when I say that I gave it a 9.2.
Mm.
I think that for a rap album, I'm going to base it solely on merits and thinking about the fact that we're almost 30 years later, and I still like this album just as much as I did the day that it came out, like in a fall of '86, would have been my senior year. I mean, that's a long time for an album to sustain that type of power.
I'll say we're creeping on 40 years, my friend.
Is it 40? Yeah, you're right. I got to do my math better. You're right. 40
Yeah,
years. That's insane when you think
yeah.
about it.
It's still
Nowadays, you
fresh.
can't even get albums to be relevant 14 months,
No.
and they fall away to the wayside. So, but yeah, I think the consensus here, this is a classic album. It
Yeah.
definitely is still a very good album. It answers its own question there. So I really appreciate you jumping on board with me, Sam. I really do. Everybody, make sure you check out Sam's channel. Be sure to like, sub, and comment down below. Give us your thoughts about License to Ill, whether they're good or bad. I mean, I don't mind it. I like to hear some good, honest thoughts from people. Also, be looking for in the future. Got a couple other albums coming out that we're going to do. We're going to be doing Bad Out of Hell with my friend Doc. And then later on, Rich and Doc and I want to also cover Ziggy Stardust from David Bowie, which is a little bit outside my wheelhouse. I'm not a huge Bowie guy, but maybe I should learn to be. So until next time, everyone, I hope everyone's having a great time out there. You guys take care of yourself and stay safe. Bye bye.